Zimbabwe is going to the elections. These are by-elections on the 9th of December. Right? These are the most important by-elections for ZANU-PF, in particular for Emmerson Mnangagwa as the president now. And this is the reason why. ZANU-PF doesn't have two-thirds majority in parliament. Right? And Emmerson Mnangagwa wants a third term as the president of Zimbabwe. To do that, you need to be able to amend the constitution. So these by-elections are so much important, right, for Emmerson Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF, so that they will be in a position to amend the constitution, right? So, and we all know the result in advance. The reality is we know what's going to happen. We all know what's going to happen. We all know that these elections will be rigged, right? Will be rigged as they always do. Right, and we know that coming from this August elections, just not so long ago, we know what the Observer Mission said. They said these elections were neither free nor fair. Right, so there is no difference it's going to make now. ZANU-PF is going to rig this election, and that's for sure. And worse, and this is unfortunate part of it, there is no opposition in Zimbabwe. There is no opposition, and Triple C is a mediocre kind of an organization. It doesn't have the capacity itself to actually unseat, or rather remove this evil regime of ZANU-PF from government. It doesn't. It doesn't have the capacity, particularly because this Triple C is led by a fearful leader, Chamisa. He is very scared. He's a coward. Where have you ever seen a leader who's afraid to sacrifice himself? The reality is Chamisa is not ready to sacrifice himself. He's not ready to go to jail. He's not ready to be tortured. Right? He's not ready to be killed as well, to sacrifice himself. And he's a pastor for that matter. What are pastors doing in politics? Can Chamisa carry a gun ready to kill? Ready to kill himself? Ready to shoot to kill? He can't. He positioned himself as a sweetheart politician. And you can't bring change in Zimbabwe if you take that approach. The people of Zimbabwe are putting their hopes on the wrong man. They are putting their hopes, right? Hopes on the wrong man. Chamisa doesn't have the capacity. He doesn't. He's a coward, right? If I was the advisor to Chamisa, I will tell him, my brother, leave Zimbabwe right now. Go to exile. Perhaps take your family, it's okay. Go to exile. Go and organize resources so that you can use guerrilla approach to confront this evil regime of ZANU-PF. That's the only thing that can bring regime change in Zimbabwe. There is no amount of voting that can bring change in Zimbabwe. Nothing. There is no way ZANU-PF can be removed through a ballot. If you think that is possible, you are hallucinating. You are hallucinating. You are daydreaming. It's not going to happen. There is no way ZANU-PF is going to lose power through a vote. And from time to time, it has been proven that they lose elections. But they found a way to rig them and go back into power. So there is no difference it's going to make. The reality is ZANU-PF is going to be in power for the next 25 years. If the opposition are going to apply the same strategy. If the opposition are going to apply the same strategy. Look at Triple C that the people of Zimbabwe put their hopes on. An organization without the constitution. The constitution of an organization It's a document that guard against the organization, that guard the organization itself. That is why somebody just masquerade, calling himself a Secretary General, suspending members of parliament in Zimbabwe. That's what an organization without its constitution does. Everybody do as they wish. And we want them. We want, some of us leading to the elections of Zimbabwe, we said this Triple C is not going to survive for the next 2 years. Why? It doesn't have a constitution. So everybody can do as they wish. How are you going to charge them? If you charge them, they take you to court. And in court, they're going to ask you, on which basis do you suspend this person? Where's your constitution? And you can't produce one. And that's why there are by-elections now, because the party is on an autopilot. It doesn't have a decisive leader with balls. And that's where we are. So that's where we are. So the people of Zimbabwe, they must perhaps look at Job Sekala as the solution, because this is a man who has proven himself that I'm willing to sacrifice myself. He was tortured, right? He was actually jailed for no reason, persecuted like that, ready to be killed as well. You need that type of leaders who are going to sacrifice themselves for the people of Zimbabwe. Nelson Mandela did it. Nelson Mandela in South Africa was ready to be killed. He was ready to be tortured, and he was tortured. He was ready to go to prison. He was sentenced life in prison. Right? 27 years in prison. Is Chamisa ready to do that? Is Chamisa ready to do that? The answer is no. The answer is no. The reality is the people of Zimbabwe are ready on the ground. They just need leadership. They just need someone who can just give them direction and say, guys, this is the approach. Change in Zimbabwe can only happen through a barrel of a gun. And we shouldn't be wishy-washy about that. That is the only way. No ballot, no voting can change the situation in Zimbabwe.